I want to talk to you a little bit today about why I don't think you should use AI to completely control, take over, or run triage at your MSP. But first, I want to talk a little bit about AI in the channel because this is going to sound like an anti AI video, and I don't want you to think that's my position. For those of you that know me or listen to my content, you know that generally I am anti using AI to automate a process in service delivery, just kind of across the board. And it's not that I'm against AI at all. Most AI tools I've seen are really freaking cool. A lot of them work, at least somewhat. It's more that in most cases, understanding it's really the same argument that your high school math teacher made to you, and you asked, why can't I just use a calculator? Was, well, you really need to understand how it works and where to apply it. And a lot of that's true, especially in MSPs, where ultimately we are supporting people. Your ability to understand and properly implement service delivery processes, even if you don't like them and even if you think you're too busy to do it, are really fundamental to not having a fucking trash business. AI to me often comes in as a get out of jail free card. You know, it's the Ozempic for weight loss and service delivery, and it's causing you to not develop the habits and learn the proper operations you need to do it right. And if you're hearing me say this and you're sitting on the other end of the camera and you're like, Dean, I already have the right service desk processes. No, you don't. I almost guarantee you don't. And if we got on a call together, I bet I could kick your teeth in. And I don't say that to insult you, just that it can take decades of learning just how those processes work to really have the right ones, which is why I'm so against just, fuck it, let's use AI. But I get it. You're running a business. Needs are what they are. You're going to use some of these tools. And we do have a few mature options in the channel. That's important. We have a few mature options in the channel that over years have developed AI augmented tools that mostly do a good job. All of that, I really do not think we should be using AI for triage, but let's get into it a little bit so I can back that up. Triage is our first opportunity to deliver an excellent client experience. It allows us to assess who, what, where, and when for all interactions, and we use the information to determine the impact and urgency, which lets us set the priority of our response. If we don't get triage right, everything that comes after it might be wrong. And I have some full courses on this on Empath. But the reason why I'm saying all of this, triage is quite literally the first and sometimes only real touch you have with your clients when they are in the most pain. For all of you that really feel like your service is a differentiator, that you offer white gloves, that you put clients first, triage is when you do that. Triage is you calling the 911 operator when you're bleeding out. Triage is when you pull into the emergency room in a panic because your child is choking on something. It is the one part of service delivery where the human touch, your touch, being able to lead, pace, and match emotions, to make someone feel heard, has so much fucking value. And you just want to hand that off to a shit tier AI tool. Then you know what? You want to hand that off to a good AI tool. Why would you do that? Why would you give up on that? It's not the part of the process that you want to automate whatsoever. There's not really a good reason pragmatically to do it either. Triage is incredibly simple to set a process around, no matter what your MSP model is. Every ticketing tool on the planet, all of them support basic ITIL style triage. So it's not even that like your ticketing tool is blocking you from doing this. It's super easy to train people on how to do. There's very little room for interpretation or going off script. It's such an easy win to do with people. There's no reason to automate it. Now, a reason I often hear is I just get too many tickets, too much, the volume's too high. Friends, if your ticket volume, and let's pause for a minute. If your proactive ticket volume, so volume from your tools and alerting is too high to be triage, your tools are set up wrong. Like this is just one of those talks where there really is one right way to do it. And I'm sorry, there is only one best practice. Any pre-generated ticket from a tool you manage should come already triaged. If you're getting raw nonsense noise alerts from your tools that humans have to sort through every morning, and there's hundreds of them, you fucked up. you're using your tools wrong. Automating that is not a solution. That's basically saying that, like, my dog or my kid pees and shits on the rug every day, so I buy a new rug every day. Like, you're not solving the right problem, and you should know that. If on the other hand, you're saying, oh, I just get way too many reactive tickets coming in from my clients, once again, automating it isn't the solution. You haven't identified the right problem. You shouldn't be getting that many tickets reactively. If you're getting such a high volume of reactive tickets that it is drowning out the ability of your MSP at whatever size you are to simply keep pace, you've already fucked up. Automating it is not a solution at all. That's literally me going with a glue gun to a dam that has massive cracks in it and trying to glue gun the cracks and just being like, job's done. No, it's fucking not. Everybody's gonna die in a little while. Like, what's wrong with you? There is literally no use case for automating triage. I think the problem is a lot of you don't know what triage is, and you confuse triage, dispatch, troubleshooting, and the front side of it as all being one giant thing, which it really isn't. And that's where I can kind of see some arguments made about automation. I still don't love automating things like dispatch or ticket assignment. I really still feel like you're being foolish and you're missing a lot of opportunities to deliver the right experience and differentiate, whatever. A properly human triage ticket should be manageable for an automation to route to the right person. So in your mind, if you're thinking, well, triage is what gets the right ticket in front of the right person, that's dispatch. That's literally dispatch. It's not triage. And this goes back to my beginning statement at the beginning of this video. The fundamental lack of understanding of how this all works is the problem here. Your Ozempic AI tool here is not going to make you healthy. It's not going to actually cause you to sustainably lose weight. So I want to give an example. It's one thing for me to yell at you, but I want to give a couple examples here about why triage is as important as it is. And it's so important to have a human involved. We give a real life example for a minute, and this is one I like to give in a lot of my coaching and training. Everybody here has been to some sort of medical facility at some point, and probably been to a medical facility where it wasn't a planned, pre-scheduled visit. So a walk-in clinic, the ER. When you go into one of those places, they don't know who you are, they don't know what's wrong with you, they don't know how you're gonna pay them, they know nothing about you. All of that information they need up front, that is triage. Figuring out who you are, what's wrong with you, where you've come from, how you're gonna pay, and then asking or using some observational skills to figure out roughly how bad it is. All of that is triage. And I want y'all to think about, at least if you live in the US or Canada, if you've ever been to a walk-in clinic when you're really sick because you don't want to go to the ER. Have any of you ever been to a walk-in clinic during peak hours where you've been like, this is fucking great. This is the best service. I don't feel grimy and I don't feel like I literally just have 10,000 more diseases. And also that iPad I had to check in with, or the really bored minimum wage worker behind the counter. That was amazing. I feel good and I trust this place. No, literally none of you have ever had that experience. Maybe on an off-peak hours when you have something mild, you're okay. But all of us almost universally hate that experience because of how fucking shitty it is, because of how terrible it is, because of how little effort they put into it. You want another example? Who here has used anything like WebMD ever, right? And what does WebMD almost always make you think after you search your symptoms? That you're gonna die tomorrow. That's automated triage. But yet you want to do that at your MSP. You want to somehow allow an end user who already thinks they need help from you and doesn't know what to do to work with a shitty AI tool that's going to use bad, shitty data to try and figure out a bunch of stuff for that end user? That's service? Well, at that point, what do I need your MSP for? Why don't I just automate the whole thing, come in at $10 an endpoint and kneecap the entire industry? I mean, think about that critically for a minute. Literally one of the only reasons why you matter as a business by what you do has any real purpose, function, or value proposition, you're cutting out to save a few seconds that you're not going to save because you're going to have to make it up later when you start working on the ticket. And god damn, is that not the other part of this that people don't understand? There is no saving time on triage. You automate it with AI, you're going to make up for it later when somebody's already been waiting on the actual first call when you're working the ticket. Like, Think about that for a minute. Imagine you go to the ER, you skip all that shit because you use an iPad, you wait around, and finally you get in to see a doctor. You've been in pain for a while, and then the doctor asks you all the triage questions and goes, oh, whoops, you're in the wrong room with the wrong doctor. That's fucking cool. That was waiting with extra steps. Why would you do that? This is not the problem to solve with AI. Somebody calls in and they say, I can't print. An AI triage tool is going to see that and it's going to go, oh, okay, have you tried these things? Unplug it, plug it in, power cycle, toner paper. Yeah, I've tried those things. Great, let me make you a ticket. They make the ticket, and then your team, because you're a fast MSP, that gets routed. And let's say within 30 minutes, you have a tech working on that. You call the client back and you find out, well, it's already too late. The actual problem was that I needed to print in a particular color of blue for a meeting that I had 5 minutes ago. And if I couldn't print in time for that meeting, I needed to know, so I just lost a ton of money. Now your client's mad at you. You haven't even done anything and your client's mad at you. That's how easy it is to fuck up triage. And AI can't figure that out. AI is only going to take the input it's given, and your users are not good at giving input. You know this. That's why the industry exists. What's rule one of IT support? Never trust a user, or trust but verify. If your users knew how to properly diagnose and report everything wrong with their situation, they wouldn't need you. That's why triage is so important. Triage is your employee on the phone hearing, I can't print, asking a couple of intelligent business questions based on that client and saying, well, client, I know you have other shared printers on the network. Surely you could print to one of those. Yeah, I could, but that's not going to solve my problem. Oh, well, tell me more about your actual problem. Well, see, I'm trying to print this proposal that I need to give in a half hour, and for the life of me, I cannot get the colors to print properly, and I'm really panicking here. Triage allows your MSP to say, well, you know what? Within 30 minutes, we're not going to be able to fix the colors on this printer. Let's immediately start talking options. Let's get this sent off to a Kinko's and get a runner to go down there and grab it. Or let's figure out how to print it in black and white. Or let's figure out how to get it on your projection screen. Triage allows you the ability to capture that additional information. AI can't do that because AI relies on user input, and your users don't know that you don't already know that information. There is no value here. There is no problem being solved. You are making it worse. There are going to be a small percentage of MSPs. They're going to say our shit is so dialed in. Our client experience is so dialed in. The way our clients report things to us is so dialed in. We actually could automate triage successfully and not fall victim to any of the points you brought up. I am willing to admit that yes, there are probably a few dozen MSPs total on the planet that fall into that category. And this is the challenge I would still make back to them. If you're that dialed in, then you don't have any of the pain points that automation would solve. Why not keep the humans? I mean, wouldn't that be the big differentiator still, to have that human touch? There just really isn't an excuse here for when tickets first hit your service desk by phone, by chat, by email, anything reactive, that you don't want to just have human eyes take a look and handle triage with human judgment. I understand at the enterprise level, where there's a lot more environmental controls and a lot less variability than any MSP at all has in play, you have some ability to automate triage and do ticket deflection. But that's not you. You're an MSP. And I'm sorry, you're not a Fortune 500 where everybody reports to the same stakeholder and works inside the same building. You're just not. And even in those cases, they're not really automating triage. They're automating triage agents that still report back to humans. It's more of augmented human triage. And if you're an MSP and you said, oh, I want that, you probably really can't do that. As cool and as sexy as it sounds, MSPs are too chaotic where that's a realistic dream for you. It might be possible to bring in an outsourcing provider that is slightly cut off to do that for you. Even then, I don't know, friends. I just don't know why you'd get rid of a human. I would rather have an outsourced human doing my triage than an AI, an insourced AI doing my triage. It just isn't worth it here. It's the one part of service delivery that just that human touch has so much value. Don't fuck it up.